Hey everybody, welcome to Storm Talk. Obviously, we got a lot to cover, and I will cover many things here coming up. I do want to at least go backwards just a tad bit to at least mention that we have ended, of course, I think you all know this, Snow Talk for the season. So let's look at that real quick, because I really ended before we got into Derby events, but it's been so busy lately. So our season total, we ended up with 19.1 inches of snow, 23.2 in Indy, a foot of snow into Evansville, close to that into Bowling Green, and 21 inches to Lexington and Columbus, Ohio, at nearly 31 inches of snowfall. St. Louis, I think one of the surprising ones there, a little bit on the low end at 7. So how does that compare to normal? Well, St. Louis, in fact, was down more than 10 inches of snow. We are on the plus side, more than a half a foot for the season, and about 8 inches on the plus side there for Lexington. So it was certainly a snowy end, and a lot of it, more than a foot of our 19 inches, took place since March 1st. I don't know what it is about the spring seasons lately, but that's something to not ignore. It's number 4, maybe number 5 in a row where we've had some interesting events on the wintry side once we crossed March 1st. So is March the new January? We hope not. But the plus side to that is that you get more of the wet snow events, but you also get bigger ones because you have more water content than you do in January. So for snow lovers, it's not all bad news on that end, but for those that want spring to start on time, it's not good news. All right, so let's talk about, real quick, the rainfall over the past 10 days. And you look at Derby week, and we go, majority of all the Derby events, by the way, went really well with no rainfall, very warm weather. For the boat race, 88 degrees that day. And then that stands out, 3.15, of course, on Derby Day. Now, the Derby Day forecast. I'm still going through all the hate mail at this point. Some interesting amount of time that some people have in their hands, but we knew it was going to be a challenge of the front to begin with. The data supported, I think, up until about Steamboat Day, or even I think it was the morning of Pegasus Parade, we started to see signs in of the front stalling, and then the rain chance would then creep in. Now, how far would that creep in was the question. Now, we took it further than what the models indicated at that time. We were pushing it more into Indiana. The models kept it more about Bullitt County. I just got distressed we were on their line. But as the more we got to Derby Day itself, the trend was started to reverse on some models, drying us back out again quicker, and some worsened it, including one of our high-res NAM models went into the flooding scenario. So the question was, at that point, as a meteorologist, do you trust the models that are, wide range? None of them agreed on how it would evolve. So which one do you go with? How do you feel about the setup for that day? And a lot of the meteorologists here in town and many spots had to go with what is a little more likely scenario, which would be rain early on that would fade south and east. But that low did what most lows do really in January, not so much in May. It was kind of an odd setup to have it lead to what we call the deformation band on the northwest side. That would typically be a big snow in January. And this is how I really would compare that kind of a setup, because once that enhances, all bets are off, no pun intended. It's full-on rain and heavy. And once we saw the radar trends start to match that, I can't tell you the amount of frustration, panic, anger, everything within myself started to develop. I can only imagine other meteorologists in town that had to deal with that. So everybody had a tough one with this one, and it was a tough one. It just, unfortunately, was the biggest day of the year that we have in town to have that happen. So I'm not happy about it, guys. I'm not. I made the wrong call on myself and trusting how things would play out compared to the data I looked at. And it's something I'll look at more down the road, but it's an anomaly event, so there was nothing I'm going to be able to compare it to. So it will likely be that way in the books for a long time, guys. All right, so having said that, enough of that talk. Let's move forward, and in doing that, we're looking at a good setup here today. We got some fog here in the northeast part of Kentucky, and some low-level clouds kind of skimming by Henry County to Shelby County. A lot of sunshine elsewhere at the moment, looking good. We do have a front that came through, but there's still some lingering moisture here with that front kind of lingering here, mainly east of 65. This is the zone. If there's going to be an isolated shower today, it's going to be here, especially where you get that cloud bank right now moving through Henry County and Shelby County. We're going to get what we call the differential heating today. So if there's going to be a shower, it's going to be around the edge of that cloud shield for you guys today, where you get the overcast cooling and then you get bright sun. It causes an imbalance in the atmosphere, and you can actually get showers to generate right along that. So I think that's the zone to pick out for a shower today. Otherwise, severe weather threat is our next focus we're going to have. It's not going to be today, and it's really not going to be tomorrow. But Wednesday, we get a warm front moving in, and a warm sector develops over St. Louis, and we get kind of on the edge of that as we get into Wednesday and parts of Friday. But a true summertime pattern to where I'm not really sure the cold front's going to be able to push all the way through here as we get into later this week, and that's going to be an important factor. So let's get right into the Futurecast, and I apologize that I disappeared. I forgot to put this in the camera. Anyway, y'all don't need to see me anyway, right? I'm not important. You see this afternoon, it's spotty shower possible, mainly east of 65. Cooler tonight, maybe some fog in some spots. Tomorrow, the shower chance still there, but even further out of wave country, so I'll take the chance out completely tomorrow. But then we get into Wednesday, and here comes the warm front. Now, the warm front itself is going to have some activity with it more than likely on Wednesday, but overall, certainly is going to be back here in St. Louis where you have the cold front. And the cold front is going to arrive at an angle like this, kind of tilt as we into Wednesday and Thursday. Whether or not it can go all the way through here or not, that's a question mark. Right now, looking at the pattern, it's unlikely. It will likely tilt along us and then kind of bounce off our backs, if we will, and then kind of lift back as a warm front heading north for the end of the week. But as long as it's in our area, the rain chance is going to exist. And even looking at the Cape here, the instability on the NAM, here's the Louisville area here. Thursday, it's got the front kind of stretched out across I-64. It's showing the best chance for thunderstorms. Thursday would be across Kentucky versus Indiana. And then as we look at the upper air pattern, I won't go through all these different model ideas. But this is what we call kind of a Rex block look here, where you get a low pressure. It's not a true Rex block, because it'd be a little more of a cutoff low closer to Baja Peninsula of California. But either way, it looks like it's going to pull and tug and slow through the Rockies, which would allow for a lot of warmth to move in. The question is, which day is going to be the warmest? Saturday or Sunday, and how hot could it be? Right now I'm going to go with both of them being very close to 90, if not 91. Yeah, it's tough to get 90 degrees with a green landscape like this and a lot of humid air. You got to go to a dry weather forecast or set up for several days, and then we get a better chance to hit 90 here in Louisville. But I think this is one where 90 at least, or 91, is reachable. I wouldn't go higher than that right now with the wet and lush green ground. Then the problem is next week. Do we have a front move in Monday with thunderstorms and active setup like the Euro says? Or is it just a gradual passage of a front that kind of just washes itself out, like the GFS says? The ensembles kind of agree with the washing out idea, which means it'll remain warm, humid, and at times likely stormy across the region. We'll see how that plays out as we get closer in time. That's it for today, guys. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.